Gentlemen, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Chairman. And Mr. Werfel, thanks for being here. Can you just kind of describe for us, what does public trust mean? Define it for me.
Well, it's something I've given a lot of thought about, actually. I'm a 16-year civil servant. Public trust involves making sure that we are acting consistent with the principles of the mission of our agency, principles of impartiality, that we're meeting our various ethics responsibilities, that we're following a rule of law.
Yeah.
And I am and I think my team would tell you this, and it dates back to the course of my career. I am very stringent around the rule of law.
And I understand that. I understand that. But then let's move on to, now, Ms. Lerner, how long has she been on leave with pay?
Again, I wish I could answer that question for you. I potentially could answer that question in a different setting, but because of the Privacy Act, I can't get into the specifics of a given employee's personnel process.
Okay. Well, you told this group that Ms. Lerner was not going to be involved. In fact, it goes down to this. It says that you told the committee that Ms. Lerner is on administrative leave, still being paid by taxpayers. She does not have access to any IRS systems, not even her email, and that she has no functional control over EO division. In fact, you even hired a new acting director of exempt organizations. Yet, after the TIGTA report and this committee's investigation, taxpayers are still getting letters signed by Mrs. Lerner. Now, this letter I have here is dated August the 7th, 2013. That's why I asked, when was she put on administrative leave? When did she plead the Fifth? And if that's the case, why is she still sending out information? I'm
not aware of the issue that you're raising. I have never seen the document that you're holding in your hand, and if you provide
that's one we got from you folks.
I will.
So, and I know there's 300,000.
I will look into it and get back to you.
And I got to tell you, please don't take this personally, but I've never seen anybody come here and answer about how many new committees, new panels that you're going to get to, and you're going to hold an accountability. Who has been held accountable for anything that's happened so far in the IRS?
Well,
and this is not, I mean, some people describe it as a phony scandal. It's not a phony scandal. The only thing I see phony so far is the investigation of it. Tell me, where exactly are we on this?
Let me ask you.
The short version. Give me the short version.
I'll give you the short version as best I can. I've said it earlier. All 5 levels of leadership, from the commissioner down to the SES in charge, are no longer in their jobs.
I understand that.
Okay, that's one.
But they're still working
in order
somewhere.
they're
still working somewhere.
They're
still being paid by taxpayers. Is it a yes or no?
Not in all cases.
Not in all cases.
Yeah. In order to hold an individual accountable in the federal government, there is a process. It is one that is driven by congressional laws.
Mr. Ware, I want you to understand something. Do you know the American public has heard enough of this Washington spin about how people are held accountable? Accountability in Washington is putting you into another agency and go to work there. It's never holding anybody accountable for wrongdoing. You come here today, we're asking you very specific questions. The first time you came here, it was too early to ask you. I understand. This is a great thing you put together for us. This is great. On page 12, you say, all the various fact-finding efforts underway will have a direct bearing on decisions we will make about additional accountability measures. Consistent with our approach to date, if there is sufficient evidence to conclude that an individual can no longer hold a position of public trust within the IRS, we will take appropriate personnel action. What is appropriate personnel action? Is it being transferred to another agency? Or is it actually holding somebody accountable to the American people the way they would be held accountable if they gave false information or they did something that the IRS didn't find that was in accordance with what the taxpayer is supposed to do? See, that's where the disconnect is here.
Congressman, there are many situations in government where an agency moves to dismiss or terminate.
I'm not talking about many agencies. I'm talking about wrongdoing. There is overwhelming evidence right now, and if we're saying that we're just not sure yet, we're not sure. When 83% of these groups were right-leaning, when 94% of these groups that are being selected for surveillance are right-leaning, the audit selection statistics arising from EO surveillance program are the most alarming. 100% of the groups that were ultimately selected for full-blown audits were right-leaning. And we're waiting to see if we can connect the dots to see if there was possibly anything that could have linked this activity at the IRS to wrongdoing. This is appalling that we even have to have this meeting. And I'm being told that Lois Lerner can take the Fifth. Lois Lerner is still signing letters on IRS stationery, there's a huge questionnaire. You know, you are in charge of a 97,000-person agency that has about a $12 billion budget. This is incredible. I understand how tough it would be, but don't you think the American people deserve an answer sometime about people being held accountable for what they did was wrong? They need to be not just sanctioned, they need to be put in jail for the wrongdoing that they did. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen.